Hey, looks like it's working. Good morning and welcome here in our group Complex PTSD and Thriving. Super excited to be here with you guys again, starting the week with you guys. And I thought today we're going to talk about those diagnoses because I see it in these groups time and time again, or people reaching out to me, whether it's they think they've been misdiagnosed or not receiving a diagnosis. And I have worked in the disability sector for a couple of decades, so I've seen it all, not just in terms of complex PTSD, but other health conditions. It's physical, or even autism and ADHD and all these kind of things. So sometimes children are diagnosed and receive treatment, even medical treatment, for things that turns out later on that are wrong. They were misdiagnosed, received the wrong treatments, and it has long-term consequences for them. Sometimes they missed. They were meant to get treatment, but they didn't, and that caused them suffering. And it can be the same for us in adulthood, right? And the same happened for myself as well. So, curious if that's you, then please let me know in the chat as well. So I just want to give you a different perspective, like looking at it from a nervous system perspective, okay? Because now in adulthood, when we go out in this kind of more frantic search and trying to Google and searching for things, what's actually happened, or getting those answers for ourselves, that can keep us stuck, and it can actually make our health seem worse than it is when we're looking at it from a nervous system perspective. Okay, so when you look at the window of tolerance from Dan Siegel, if you're within the window of tolerance, that's the calmest, or that's when our brain can function the best. Like in the ventral vagal system or the social engagement system, our brain can think clearly, we can analyze, we can take different perspectives, and it's just calm. We can connect with people, we feel felt and heard and understood. We're in this kind of calm space, and when we are searching for information in that space, then we can, oh yeah, this sounds kind of similar to what I read over there, or this is similar to what that person said. We can kind of compare and things like that, but it has a very different feel to it because we feel kind of calm, grounded and centered, compared to some of those frantic searches I've been into. Let me know if that's you too. But it was this mad rush on Google and, clicking here and clicking there, and then I see something good that kind of explains what it is, and then I can never find it again, and then I read books. It's this hustle about it, and going from doctor to doctor and different professionals trying to get answers. And sometimes, let's be honest, those professionals actually almost have a dismissive kind of tone, or they don't take us seriously, or sometimes they're a bit pushy or arrogant, or those kind, and that can actually help us, or help us, not help us. It makes us feel more disconnected and more isolated, more misunderstood, and not being taken serious, and that can be really a difficult space to be in, and I've been in that one too. Okay, so. But we want to get ourselves out of that, because when we're in this kind of frantic state, we're no longer within the window of tolerance. We're actually outside. We're at the edge, or almost in the sympathetic nervous system. There's that switch. So we're out of the ventral vagal into the sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, that hyperarousal, hypervigilant. Our body gets flooded with all sorts of chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, and all these kind of things that actually make it harder for our body to be healthy. So anytime I catch myself in this kind of frantic mode, searching for answers of what's happening to my body, okay, this is my body, and sometimes in our Western medicine we take things so in isolation. Like sometimes they say, oh, you have a sore gut. They only kind of look at the gut, but it's not just the gut that's sore, because when we're sore, you might not sleep so well, you might be more irritated, you can't relate to people, you don't want to be around people. So it actually affects your whole body, mind, spirit, soul, everything. Nothing in our body works in isolation. So we want to really make sure that we can get out of that sympathetic nervous system, back down into that ventral vagal, where we can be more calm, more centered, so we can make healthier decisions for ourselves. So when I catch myself, I get myself to slow down, and I like to put my hands on my chest these days, or you might like to put one under there and one here and kind of give yourself a hug. And generally when I do that, I don't give myself a hug, I give a whole compassion for my younger self. Even if it's my younger self from yesterday, or from a year ago, or for your inner child, but I just really sit with my younger child, or my younger self, and it's like, oh, this has been so difficult. I get it. It sucks when people don't listen to you, when you're constantly not taken serious by professionals, and really holding space for that. Allow that to be, and it will bubble up some emotions there for us. You know, that there's this anger, irritation, sadness, that unfairness, injustice, all this kind of bubbles up. And let that bubble up. Because when we're pushing it down, it makes things worse for ourselves. But if we're letting it out and just imagine it, to just give it space, let it out, let it kind of dissolve in a metaphorical way. But you know, giving it space and letting it be there and hold. But be with kindness. Okay, we want to be kind to ourselves, holding that space. And yeah, because that kind of helps me to switch, and once I'm calmer again, I can make better decisions. I can see, so, is it actually okay for me to be online searching for answers right now, or does my body need something else? Because when I'm calmed down, I can tap into my wisdom within. I can listen. My body knows what it needs, but I need to be in a calm enough space to actually listen. And what I also like to do, it might sound a bit woo-woo, but I'm going to share it anyway. I like to lie in bed and I put one hand here and one on my stomach. And I tell myself that I put my healing hands on myself. Okay, so that's not healing as in I'm healing autism or ADHD or diabetes or anything. It's just like they're healing hands, they're gentle hands. This is my container, and I'm taking care of my body. So I'm healing in a sense of I'm restoring balance in my body. Because that frantic search just caused chaos in my body. There's all these extra adrenaline and stuff floating around. I'm slowing down, put my healing hands on to restore that kind of balance. Okay? So that just kind of things that I have to do for myself. And I also have to, in a way, accept that for some things I will never have answers. So I wanted to speak a little bit to that, because that so often comes up, as in to have complex PTSD, autism or ADHD. And the answer is, if you haven't been diagnosed like early in childhood, before any trauma happened, you'll never really know for sure. Because as I said, I worked in the industry for a couple of decades, and the kids or the young adults that I work with, they had so many symptoms just the same as mine. And so many experts will tell you that it's actually almost impossible to know whether you were born like this, or whether, because especially if your trauma started at a very young age, and it when there's enough trauma happening, it derails your development. And when your development is derailed, you'll have very similar symptoms and very similar struggles, whether this is intellectually, with studying, memorizing, connecting to other people, trusting people, relating to other people. And those things are very similar to autism or ADHD. So there's it's almost impossible to find out in adulthood. And I had to let that go. And knowing that labels are, yeah, they're probably helpful for the medical work, but for myself, it's not. Okay, I just need to find ways in helping myself today in dealing with the symptoms. Anything that is happening for me that is causing me pain or struggles or difficulties, to find solutions around that. You know, find practices that help me get better in that area. And I have a whole YouTube channel, you know, there's 170 videos. I share pretty much every practice that I use to help myself get better. Because it doesn't matter what kind of labels you're going to get, what kind of diagnosis, it's still possible for you to have a good life. Okay, I've seen it. Like I said, I've worked in the industry for a couple of decades. I ran this group for a few years. And I spoke to thousands of people who had childhood trauma and complex PTSD, who turned things around for themselves, whether they had a diagnosis or not, okay, or multiple diagnoses. Many of us have lots of things happening because we're constantly outside of our window of tolerance, and that causes our body so much stress. So it's important to catch ourselves when we're there, slow it down, listen inward, and see what our body needs. So if you do have any questions, please type. I may not always come back, but after to do check out too. But I think I have my notes here just in case I forgot something. But I have one more announcement that I would like to make, because next week there won't be a live video because it kind of clashes. Or for the Thriveroo community, we have guest speakers. It's my membership on my website. And we have Roland Baal as a guest speaker next Monday. So it's kind of a bit too tight, but I'm super excited. He'll talk to us about dissociation. So if you're not a member, you can jump over my website and you can check out. You're welcome to join. It's like, we have guest speakers there every month. There's a whole community of us on our healing journey, off to thriving or creating a better life for ourselves, and just to be with people who get you. I think it's just beautiful. I just love even our group calls that we have to just chat with each other and see how we are going, having that connection, having that sense of belonging. It just means so much to me. But it's also good to learn from experts like Roland Baal from time to time as well. So just wanted to say that. But the Monday after, everything's back to normal. So thank you so much for being here, and as always, sending you lots and lots of love and rainbows to brighten up the tough times just a little. See you guys, bye.